NYCFC preseason preview. Let's get straight to it. In 2023, NYCFC ended off the season with 9 wins, 14 draws, and 11 losses, landing them in 11th place. Now I'm going to come out straight off the bat and say I'm a New York City FC fan, and this was probably the worst season I've ever watched, because it was the worst season ever. NYCFC's first game in the 2024 season is February 24th, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and it's against Charlotte. Now, Charlotte's a good team, but for New York City standards, New York City are yet to beat Charlotte. Now we're talking 3 losses to Charlotte and 1 draw. Will this season be the season where they finally beat Charlotte? Some off-season departures to talk about on the New York City end would be Brian Coufray, who left back to Mallorca because he was on loan. Thiago Andrade, who we loaned out to Shenzhen FC. Richie Ledesma, whose loan ended and he is back at PSV. Alfredo Morales, who was a really good servant for us, captained us a couple of times, no hard feelings. Left for San Jose. Looks like we're really pushing for younger blood. And last but not least, Gabe Seagal, who went to Houston. And young guy, he had some potential, but we really don't have depth in the striker position. So I was questioning what we were thinking when we went with that move. Obviously, we just talked about the departures. Now we're going to talk about the acquisitions. I just mentioned how Gabe Seagal, one of our only strikers, just left in the offseason. We really don't have a lot going forward. But New York City decided to splash the cash with Jovan Mijatovic, a striker who has 4 Champions League appearances, has played for FK Crvena Zvezda. I'm going to pop it up because I can't pronounce it. $10 million price tag. It looks like New York City bought him directly, not through Citigroup, so that's kind of a good thing. Another signing, Agustin Ojeda. He's a winger. $7 million price tag from the Argentinians Racing Club. It's a really exciting. I don't know. Whenever there's an Argentinian coming to the league, I get excited. Hans Wolf, a winger that we brought in from Borussia Mönchengladbach on a free. 27 years old, brings some Bundesliga experience. I feel like comparing the MLS to all European leagues, the MLS can bridge the gap most easily towards the Bundesliga. Maybe they're similar in styles of play. I know it's a stretch, but I think he'll settle in easily. And last but not least, Andres Pereira. We had him on loan last season. He's our CDM. Loan terminated, but we re-signed him, and that's really good because he was probably one of the only good things from last season where New York City missed out on the playoffs for the first time in their history. So yeah, NYC are kicking off the 2024 season with a decent amount of change. That is by New York City FC standards. We don't really change that much. For the first time in New York City's history, I think we made some pretty good decisive signings. I think we really struggled with their identity in the beginning. We were trying to bring in these old, experienced players who had their little stints but didn't really work out. I'm talking Lampards, I'm talking Pirlos, I'm talking Iriolas. It was a little frustrating to see that because those players were, looking like they were here on vacation. The only one that really worked out was David Villa, in my opinion. I think the really important thing with New York City is to talk about the manager. Personally, I'm on the middle ground of Nick Cushing. Last season was kind of disastrous. He took over a team that just won the MLS Cup, and he really did not do well in the standards of carrying the torch. I'm on the middle ground with him. I think managers should be given some time. We shouldn't really be too critical of him. I've seen a lot of New York City FC fans, including myself, be really critical on Cushing, but he has his own system that he's trying to implement. Last season, we struggled with a lot of injuries, such as Maxi Morales, Alfredo Morales. Our 2 center backs left us. Our 2 star center backs, who were probably the best center back pairing in the league at one point, they left us. We were really in the dark. Our MVP, our goalkeeper of the year, left. It's really hard to fill that gap. I think us as fans, we got to understand that before we're being really hard on him. But this season is going to be make or break for him. He's under a lot of pressure. But to speak more on Cushing's decisions, New York City probably have one of the most talented young players in the league, Tyus Magno. This shouldn't come as a surprise to any of you guys if you have the ball knowledge of MLS. The 21-year-old has a flair, speed, and dribbling to cause massive headaches on the wing. Nick Cushing only played Tyus Magno about 60% of New York City's games last season. Why? I don't know. Because he's probably one of the most dynamic players I've seen in this league. Additionally, Cushing really likes to play him as a striker for some reason. He's an out-and-out winger, and I don't really see him cutting it for us as a 9. And again, I'll give it to Cushing, like, we didn't have any strikers, so he was trying to put Tyus Magno up there to fill the gap, but it just didn't work out. And in my opinion, Seagal did a better job of filling the gap than Tyus Magno. I will give credit to Nick Cushing towards the end of the season because he did fix our defense after Chanot and Collins left. You know, we did look like we could actually defend. He brought in a player such as Risa, who was really good for us, and he did fill the gap that we really needed at the back because at one point we were leaking goals like the Titanic. NYCFC's first game of the 2024 season will be away playing against Charlotte FC, a Charlotte FC team in which New York have never beaten yet. Charlotte FC is a 2022 expansion team, so we've only had 4 encounters with them before. Charlotte won 3 of them, and we had a draw on the other one. A shaky last season for New York City and the fact that we've never beaten Charlotte before is making me think that this game is going to end 1-1. Both teams just had a normal preseason. No CONCACAF Champions League, no tours going worldwide like Inter Miami, which obviously you wouldn't expect, but they really didn't have any competitive games to warm up with. And in the preseason, New York City didn't win a game. Some players that I think will start will be Ojeda and Wolf. I think Wolf finally figured out his passport duties and all that stuff, so I think he's going to start. Some points to really point out on the Charlotte FC end is every time I watch Charlotte FC, Ashley Westwood is that guy. Ashley Westwood obviously playing for Burnley, the Premier League. He comes into the MLS and dominates, but he is their talisman in the midfield. And when he's on the ball, like, he's probably he's a frail guy, in my opinion. He looks pretty frail. He's pretty skinny, but that guy is probably one of the strongest center mids I've seen play. He's so aggressive. He gets on every ball, and you're not going to get the ball off him. Obviously, NYC being a possession-based team, I think going to any stadium in the league is going to help us because it's a bigger stadium. Yankee Stadium is probably one of the smallest pitches in the league, and if we're playing possession-based in a pitch that small, then obviously it will work for us as long as we play on a bigger pitch. The keys to New York City winning this game is if they get the ball to Parks. The more Parks is on the ball, the better. And then he's going to be able to find Santi in the pockets, because if New York City are going to score, you can be sure as hell it's going to be because Santi is going to give that assist, or he's going to make a dynamic pass to open up the space. Additionally, Bakrar is on fire in the preseason, and he scored about, I think, 6 goals in the preseason in 5 games. And I know that might not seem insane, but for New York City standards, we have a Tati Castellanos size hole in our team. And since he's left, quality player, went on to Girona, now he's playing for Lazio. Quality player, we have not filled that gap. We are struggling to find a striker, and they have brought in Jovan Mijatovic, who I think could be that guy, but yet again, he's still young, so we got to give him time. But it's looking promising. $10 million price tag. The $10 million price tag on this lad is going to mean pressure on him. But that's obviously a sign that he is capable of picking up the torch that Tati left and that has been on the ground for the last season. My predicted lineup for New York City FC is going to be as follows. Goalkeeper, we're going to play Freeze. I think last season there was a little bit of confusion as to who's going to be our goalkeeper. We brought in Matt Freeze from Philadelphia. For a really long time last season, we really could not figure out who our goalkeeper was. We were just switching game in and game out with Freeze and Barasa, and I think finally Freeze has cemented the spot, which I think our fans have been calling for a long time. No offense to Barasa, but I think he's a really good quality sub goalkeeper to have. Goalkeeper, Freeze. Left back, Kevin O'Toole. Center back pairing of Thiago Martins and Risa. Right back, Tavon Gray. Center mid pairing of Perea and Parks, with Maxi Morales playing as a cam. We're going to have Julian Fernandez on the left wing, Bakrar at striker, and Santi Rodriguez is going to play right wing. I fully expect Santi Rodriguez to drop in and link up with Maxi Morales as a cam. Santi's going to play more as a cam as well. Maxi's going to drop back to CM sometimes, and then we're going to play with 2 up top like Fernandez and Bakrar. I really hope that these players can link up, because I do not want another season of New York City doing shit. Because Cushing has quite the interesting way of thinking of these lineups, I think it's really important to point out Jason. Cushing has quite the love for Jason, and as much as I'd love for him to start Tyez or even put on Tyez before he does Jason, deep down I don't think he will. That wraps up this video. I told you my prediction. I think it's going to be 1-1. If I'm completely wrong, again, come let me know. If you watch this, I'm working on getting the Twitter up so y'all can see this stuff quicker. But yeah, Charlotte FC, New York City FC 1-1. And I think who's going to score? Somebody that's going to score? I think it's going to be Bakrar. Bakrar, Santi Rodriguez assist. For Charlotte FC, I think Ashley Westwood through penalty. Imagine that's right. That's crazy.